Hi everyone, welcome back to Chasing Past Golf Podcast. We're in this episode. I'm joined by two-time Ladies European Tour winner Becky Brewerton, who is also, so let me get this straight, a player, a golf coach, and a caddy as well. Very busy woman. How do you try and juggle all these into one? Like, don't get me
Well,
wrong, it sounds like a good life, but like it must be tough.
yeah, it is a good life. Not so much playing at the moment, although you never know. I'm always keeping the door open slightly. Definitely much more coaching and caddying as well. And that, to be honest, it's worked out really well because since I stopped playing about 18 months ago, I think caddying a little bit still out on tour is still giving me my fix of being out at events, which is, of course, how I've lived my entire life. And then I have weeks at home as well where I'm coaching quite a bit with, amateur golfers, beginners, good players. And so it's a nice mix, actually. I think if I was doing one thing constantly, which I'd done previously, obviously, for most of my career, it might be a bit more challenging, but it's nice to have the mix, actually, of both things at the same time.
So you've recently just come off being on the bag for Meg at the PIF London Championship. How was that like as a tournament wise?
Oh, that particular one is is unbelievable. The way they over the years have developed that for spectators is brilliant. And this year, you notice every year you've noticed the crowds have gone up, but this year it was great, and there's so much other stuff to do at that tournament, and the location's good as well. So it feels those events now feel like massive tournaments. It's the same setup we would get as we would get at a major. So yeah, it makes it feel big, and it's always nice because it creates a better atmosphere and you feel a bit more like, not important, that's the wrong word, but it just makes it feel like it's a huge thing, and that obviously adds a bit of adrenaline for the players as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think with what PIF, the Public Investment Fund, are doing for the women's game, obviously it's fantastic. You're getting far more money into the game, which is what the women have always wanted. Like obviously at times can be controversial just because of where it's coming from. Like we'll
Mhm.
not go into the politics of that, but like I think realistically they're doing a very good job in promoting the women's game.
Yeah, they are, and women's golf have been waiting for a long time for somebody to be the first ones, if you like, to put a real investment in there. And to be fair, it has raised the profile of other tournaments as well, and I think it's made other events think bigger, try and think outside the box a little bit more. So we're seeing benefits in other areas as well, for sure.
So so in terms of the caddying side, how did you kind of get into that as well?
It's a little bit random. So when I finished playing at the end of 2023, so the start of 2024, a player that I know really well, Celine Herbin, who's been out on tour for a long time, nearly as long as me. She sent me a couple of messages about caddying, and I actually was just caddying for Meg as a one-off in a tournament in Saudi, funnily enough, the first one of the season. And she was in a practice round with us and just said, "Oh, I think looking at how you guys work, I think we'd work really well together. Have you thought about caddying full time?" And at the time, I totally poo-pooed it. I was like, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm coaching. And in my head, I thought I possibly wouldn't want to be out there caddying because I played for so long." And to be fair to her, she sort of didn't. She sent me a couple of other messages, sort of slightly pursued it, and it got me thinking, okay, it could work because obviously there aren't events every single solitary week. So I could do some events, coach in other weeks, and it gives me a nice mix then, of not just, standing in the coaching bay 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I said, yeah, okay, let's give it a whirl, see how it goes. And it was interesting because there's small things that I hadn't thought of that I was a bit nervous about that actually turned out to be okay. And it's small things like she works in meters, I'd always worked in yards. and stuff like how she would like me to communicate with her on the course would maybe be slightly different to how I wanted my caddies to sort of be with me as well. So you kind of learn on the fly a little bit, and it's very much about trying to fit the personality, knowing when to say things, knowing when to say absolutely nothing, and just sort of more judging the personality and always trying to make sure that whatever information you put across is done in a positive way.
So, like in terms of starting and caddying as well, so what would you say is the kind of the what would you say is the kind of hardest part that you've like considering caddying and playing, like what was the hardest part to get right?
I think I was quite conscious from the beginning that I needed to try and not ever think what would like what would I have wanted, because obviously my personality could be completely different to somebody else. So I always like to, if it's with like when I started caddying for Celine, you have to ask loads of questions, like, you know, and be honest about the sort of type of personality you are. Celine's definitely a little bit more emotional than I am on the golf course. So you have to kind of like work out when someone might need a kick up the arse and when someone just needs an arm around the shoulder, and judging the personality. So I think the hardest thing is, and it's probably slightly more difficult for me, was not trying to go into the mindset of what would I have done here, because it's not me. You know, I'm there as like the supporting act, if you like. I'm not the main event anymore. So I am the person that just needs to be there if someone needs me. Don't get overly involved. That's a massive thing. But I mean, I was like that as well. I didn't like someone to get overly involved and just throw a million things at me all at once. So yeah, it's just adapting to the personalities, I think, and trying not to be, you know, offended by anything on the golf course.
And so after Celine Herbin, you managed to get the bag for Virginia Eleanor Carter as well. Like how did that kind of transition?
So it was, I actually messaged Virginia. That's how that one came about, because I'd always known her really well. And funnily enough, before she turned professional, she played in an LET event as an amateur while I was still playing reasonably well. And I played a practice round with her just by chance. And I saw her hit a couple of shots and I was like, wow, she's unbelievable. Like, she's going to be a great player. You can tell pretty much straight away if you play with someone if they're going to be good or not when you've sort of done it for that long. And I'd always known her really well. And last season she'd been struggling a little bit. And in my head, I could never understand why, because I was like, you're so good. You should be doing really, really well out here. So I messaged her and said, look, you know, do you want to see how we get on, do a bit of caddying for you? I'd love to do it. And it was actually me that approached her. And she said, absolutely, yes, that would be amazing. And, you know, she's a totally different type of personality, and we get on really, really well. So we had a really good friendship as well. So yeah, that just ended up being, it went great. You know, we could be really honest with each other. She wasn't scared of me telling her what I thought either, you know, good or bad. And you know, she'd be the same with me as well. So we had a much more like friendship type relationship on the golf course as well. But it worked really well, and yeah, we just seemed to hit it off. And she had some brilliant results, and it was really enjoyable caddying for. And again, like a completely different type of personality. She would be like the most polar opposite to me on a golf course that I know. So in that way, it was quite fun because, you know, she did a lot of the things that I would never do, but she was like, yeah, you know, fair play, like showing so much emotion, wearing a heart on her sleeve, which you need people like that. Because if everyone was like me and didn't show anything, then no one would ever watch golf because it'd be too boring.
No, fair comment. So like, would you say that you can come across as, you know, quite stern in your assessment as a caddy as well? Like, do you
Uh,
find that?
yeah, I mean, I guess I am. I don't show a lot of emotion in terms of, I wouldn't fist pump when I play, or you wouldn't know if I'd shot 90 or 60 on the golf course. But I am quite matter of fact as a person, and I suppose yes, that could come across as stern, and I end up being like, this is just what I'm like. I'm almost like my player's little pit bull. That's what I call myself sometimes, because I feel like I'm very protective of the person. So yes, I think quite a few people would potentially describe me as stern.
I mean, the game's full of, great characters. So like, you just got to be who you are, really. So
Yeah, absolutely. And the good thing is everyone knows where they stand. I say it how it is, and there's no messing about in that sense.
no, that's fair enough. So taking it back to the start for you. So you were born in, was it St Asaph? Is that right, in
Yeah,
Wales?
in Wales, yeah.
So you're a proud Welsh woman. What was it like, obviously, growing up in Wales? Like, great place?
Yeah, I mean, great place. My mum and dad were brilliant. They got me and my brother into all sports when we were kids, and obviously we did tons of it at school. And I got into golf because my dad actually took up golf in his 40s to try and quit smoking. So he saved up all the money he used to spend on cigarettes, bought a set of golf clubs, and he got into it. And to be honest, because he was so obsessed with it, he used to go and practice in his lunch break and after work and stuff. I was started going with him originally to golf just to spend a bit of time with him. And timing wise, it worked out really well because they just started doing junior lessons at my golf club on a Saturday morning, 2 hours for 50p, which was amazing. And of course,
Depends.
at that time, like, well, it's like crazily, it's like 30 odd years ago now, when I was 11, 12 years old, there was no other girls playing golf, so it was just me and a lot of the boys. But actually it worked out quite well because I had to learn, to try and smash it basically as far as I could when I was young and learn the other bits afterwards. But it was good to have, like, I was lucky that I stumbled upon a structure where I was having lessons from when I started, and my dad was really good friends with a pro. So that was something that we did religiously for the first couple of years. And obviously, taking lessons when you first start makes a massive difference. You don't develop any of these weird habits that you sometimes see people get into with their golf.
50 pence per lesson. Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it grew into, like, I mean, even now they do the same thing at the golf club. It's not 50p anymore, but they've
Nothing's 50 pence.
they've got like 200 kids, I think, that now, and it runs over a course of like a few different sessions on a Saturday now. So it's grown into something amazing, and that's exactly the same sort of process that I was part of.
So, obviously, when you when you got introduced to golf, like, did you have to work in it, like, or did it kind of come natural?
A bit of both. I had some natural ability. I did work on it because I was having lessons from early on. Yeah, my dad was quite strict as well. He definitely pushed me a little bit to practice, and maybe sometimes practice when I didn't want to. But obviously, in the end, it did work out that it helped me massively. So yeah, you need a bit of both. I did have some talent and ability to do it, but I did work pretty hard at the same time.
So, like, so, like, obviously, for obviously, when it comes to, young girls and stuff now, like, what kind of advice would you give that, like, for young girls, like, trying to make it out, like, starting out in golf, like, is there any specific advice you give?
I would say, for young girls and possibly their parents as well, who are kind of taking them to golf, is to keep playing lots of different sports. You don't need to just put all your eggs in one basket to be good at golf. In fact, the coordination and athletic ability you would build up from other sports would probably actually help you with golf in the long term. And then you can decide at a later point, okay, if this is what I want to do as my main sport, I might have to give up the ones that I could potentially get injured in, football or whatever, something where someone could hurt you. But it's definitely, now looking back, if there's one thing I could do now that would be different, I would train more to be a more athletic person and not just think that, right, the whole thing is golf, hit loads of balls, hit loads of balls. It's much more about being a proper athlete to give you the longevity that, I started to feel like I struggled with at the end.
Yeah. And like obviously you mentioned other sports there. Was there any other main sport that out with golf you felt that you were very good at?
Yeah, so I I played lots of football and hockey as well. I was pretty good at both of those. But at that time, it didn't appear like at that point you could make a career out of being a female football player, which definitely didn't seem like a possibility 30 years ago. Same with hockey, and golf was the only one where I knew that there was a professional level. So yeah, that was the one I went for, and it was my favourite out of the three. But yeah, it'd be obviously different now because for all three of those, you could make a very good career.
Yeah, no, definitely in these last few years, it seems like quite a lot of women's sports are definitely on the up. So, right, so taking it back to taking it back to your amateur career, I mean, well, like we could be here till next Easter with the list of achievements you had as an amateur. You had a very, very good amateur career. I'll pick some of the highlights. So, in terms of the national titles, so 2 times Welsh Girls Amateur Champion, 2 times Welsh Ladies Amateur Champion. I believe you were also a 2-time Ladies British Open stroke play champion as well. He played in the Curtis Cup in 2000 at Ganton, 2-time Vagliano Trophy participant for Great Britain and Ireland. Also the Espirito Santo Trophy, which is now the world. Is that the World Amateur Team
Yeah,
Championships now? I think it
yeah.
is, yeah. So we'll start off with the 2000 Curtis Cup at Ganton, where obviously the Curtis Cup nowadays is a very, very prestigious tournament. Like even back then, like how was that experience?
It was, I mean, it was amazing, but it was a mixture of amazing and terrifying at the same time because I was only 17 at the time, and at that point, I was incredibly shy, like painfully shy. You'd struggle in team stuff to get much out of me. I didn't really speak unless I was spoken to, kind of thing. So I was really nervous. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but it was by far the biggest crowds I'd ever played in front of. It felt like the biggest tournament I'd ever played in. So yeah, it's hard to interpret your emotions sometimes when you're in it in the moment. At times it felt like there's so much adrenaline coursing through you that you can hit these shots that are just better and more incredible. And at other times it was like I can hardly hold the club because my hands are shaking so much. So yeah, it's amazing. It's really hard to describe what it's like to play in one of those team events because all of a sudden all these people that you're usually playing against every week are now your teammates and you're all trying to come together. And we had quite a mix of characters on that team. I think the age range is like I was the youngest at 17, and you would have had players in their 40s as well in the same team. So that's quite an eclectic mix of people to try and come together. But it worked really well, and you end up making friends with people that you wouldn't necessarily think that you would. But yeah, I mean, as far as amateur golf goes, it was a pinnacle for me. So yeah, I've definitely never forgotten it, and I still can't work out if I was really pumped or really nervous, to be honest.
Probably a mixture of both.
Probably a
The
mixture of
adrenaline
both.
coursing through. Have you so like even back then in 2000, like do you still keep in contact with any of your teammates or that?
That's a good question. Yes, well, actually, one of them, Becky Morgan, she's only just stopped playing as well, and she played on the LPGA for a long time. So I think there was 3 or 4 of us who went on to be pretty good pro players. Rebecca Hudson as well. She was like, at that time, she was the best player by far. She was like the big dog in amateur golf. She was miles better than everyone else. So yeah, she was a good one as well, and I played with her in a couple of the foursomes matches, which again, in my own mind, I was just nervous about the fact that I was playing with her, not forget anything else, because she was by far and away so much better than everybody else.
Was Angela Stanford like as big a deal back then in amateur golf? Then obviously she had an unbelievable career, 7-time LPGA Tour winner and major champion. Obviously now the 2026 US Solheim Cup captain as well.
Yeah.
But like even back then, was she? Did you know that she was going to be a very good player and have the career that she had?
I mean, obviously, you knew by default the fact that she was there meant that she was, but at the time, again, because I was so young, I didn't really know anything about any of the US players. Hillary, there was another girl, Hillary Lunke, went on to win the US Open, who played in that one. So, and those are a
Yeah.
couple of facts that I only knew because they come up sort of a few years later. But yeah, it's a long time ago now. So do you know what? I probably couldn't at this stage name everyone that was on the team, sadly, because my memory's not the best.
No, don't get me wrong. I mean, she's had an unbelievable career in fair play to her. Obviously, she won a major championship on a like 70th major start or something like that, which is testament to her and her longevity as well. So, nah, fair play. So I also want to talk about the 2002 Espirito Santo Trophy, where you were part of Great Britain and Ireland, where you ended up playing in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Is that right? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, to have, that kind of experience going to the other side of the world, like, you would have been only, what, 19? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like at that age, to experience Malaysia, like what was that sense of feeling like?
You know what? That was the biggest shock to the system ever because I'd never been close to anywhere like that before. And I just remember getting off the plane and it was like someone had put me in an oven. Like I can't even describe. I genuinely thought, okay, I am not going to get through this week. I cannot survive in that kind of temperature or that kind of humidity. And you'd come out of your hotel room from your lovely air conditioned hotel room, and it was literally like an oven just hits you in the face. And it was such a shock to the system, like playing golf with like sweat pouring off you, like literally running down your legs. Like it was crazy. So that I think I went through like 15 gloves that week because I'd never experienced. I wasn't ready. I had no idea what it was going to be like. So it was a learning experience, and in the end it was like, okay, I just need to actually survive and try and manage to get through 18 holes every day, because obviously when you're not used to it you really feel like you're not going to do it, like you're just exhausted the whole time. But it was a great event to play in, and that was pretty cool because there was teams from some countries playing in that where there'd be like there's one 9-hole golf course and there was players playing who were fully covered from head to toe from different countries, where obviously that would be part of the rules. That's how they would have to play. So it was a real eye opener to see people from some countries that I just would have assumed that you would never ever play golf from.
Yeah, I mean, there seems to be more and more kind of, don't want to say obscure countries, but you know what I mean, like in terms of countries that maybe don't have the resources as such, like in comparison to others. It definitely seems like it's on the rise, like different different countries as such playing on the biggest stages.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So, and that was amazing to see at the time. Like, and the biggest thing I remember is thinking, I don't know how you can play with all that stuff on. Like, you must be even more disgustingly warm than I am right now, in my shorts and t-shirt. So yeah, it was nice to see such a diverse range of players. I'd never seen. Obviously, there's so many different countries in that event, so you're playing with a lot of players that I obviously had never seen before. And interesting to hear a couple of stories about how they developed, how certain countries just decide, right, we're going to be good at golf now, and you kind of just pull people into it, which does, it happens in a lot of places now because it's obviously prestigious enough that it's worth doing.
Yeah, and so before we go into your professional career, obviously stellar professional career, like you've had a unbelievable career. I just want to just kind of like a couple of questions beforehand. So obviously you mentioned the humidity and stuff. But what would you say is that the hottest you've ever been on a golf course, in terms of country, in terms of the golf course event? Is there one
So
that stands out?
that one would be right up there. And we played a tournament in Australia one year where they'd had some record temperatures and it was like 40 degrees.
Oh, mate,
That
that's the one.
that was crazy. And I played a tournament once in Singapore as well when I'd only just turned professional, and my dad came with me, and he actually ended up not caddying. So they had club caddies, and he was just like, "Sod this! I can't carry a bag for 18 holes in this heat." So they had these female club caddies, and literally this woman was half my size, and she was carrying my tour bag around no problem. So you can imagine the amount of grief I was giving my dad that week for not being able to carry my bag when this girl that was literally half his size could do it.
I mean, did you fall out eventually? And then,
No, we didn't fall out because I knew we were struggling. We played 9-hole practice round on the first day we were there, and we got to the ninth. I said, "Oh, I think I'm only going to play 9 today," and he went, "I know, because I ain't doing any more," which was so unlike him. He'd normally have me out there for as long as humanly possible. So I knew he wasn't feeling great, to be fair. So yeah, it was nice. He got to relax a bit more and stay in the air conditioning while I sweltered away outside.
oh, I can only imagine how grim that must be. When you know you go to a country, it's going to be like over 30 degrees, possibly close to 40 degrees. Like
Yeah.
you've just got to prepare for it. Like, how do you prepare for it?
I don't think you can, obviously, because being in the UK, you're not exactly going to be able to acclimatise yourself to that. The only thing you could do is go somewhere a couple of days earlier and just give yourself some time to recover and get used to it. But I mean, I don't think you ever really get used to it. I still, we had a tournament in Hong Kong a couple of years ago, one of the Aramco events, and it was, again, same thing. It was so humid there, and you do kind of get used to it. You're going to make it round, but it's just uncomfortable, I would say, to deal with.
Yeah, like even in Saudi Arabia as well, like that kind of temperature
Yeah,
as well.
that's more of a dry heat, so that you just feel like you're burning. Like it's there's no humidity, but you can almost feel like your skin just sort of drying up with the
Melting
with
away.
with how hot the sun is.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine going to the other side of the world. For me, as a pasty white Scotsman, just the thought of it, I would probably burn like in about like 20 degrees. I can burn, so I can only imagine what it's like in like 30 degrees plus. Like,
Can I ask one favour, Craig, for a second? I'm
yeah,
bursting for the loo. Can we just pause for a second?
yeah, no worries.
I'll leave the phone on and then I'll be back in a minute. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, hold on.
I will entertain you while this is happening. So yeah, I just want to say, obviously, in terms of my hiatus as such recently, um, yeah, I just want to say that like I'm back on antidepressant pills. trying to get myself better again after a kind of, a kind of struggle. Hopefully I can, get myself better, and we'll try and keep these going as long as possible. If you do, can I just ask a favor? If you do enjoy the player interviews and stuff, would you please, like, subscribe on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify? It really helps the podcast grow, and yeah, hopefully you keep enjoying them. So I was just kind of chatting away to myself there, just trying to pass the time as such. But Becky, welcome back.
About
No, I was just chatting all the shite, to be honest, and just giving them a life update as to how I am doing, etc. Because I've been struggling a little bit, so like just to kind of chat shit is a nice one. But anyway, onto your pro career. So you're a two-time Ladies European Tour winner, 2007 Ladies English Open, and the 2009 Open de España Femenino is, I believe, what it was called back in the day. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's the Ladies Open de España. You also had the unofficial win at the Tenerife Ladies Match Play. Don't know how you can call it unofficial, but there you go. Surely you're counting it.
Oh, I definitely count it. I say I've got 3 wins. I'm counting everything that I can. Yeah, because it was a match play event. Obviously, it wasn't a standard stroke play event. So at the time, it was, even though it was official, because it got me into the Evian tournament the week after, etc. For whatever reason at the time, because it wasn't you couldn't get points for the order of merit as such. It wasn't classed as official. So shame, but I'm definitely classing it as official.
Like every right to, I guess. And then the 2021 Rose Ladies Series on the would it be Letas tour round about then? Was the Rose Series on the Letas tour there?
No, that was
Or
just
was it
individual event. It was like a standalone tournament
okay,
that
yeah.
they had. Yeah.
Because that's probably round about when they first started, round about that time, wasn't it? Like
Yeah.
Justin Rose and his Rose Series.
Yeah, I think that was the second year maybe that it had been on.
Yeah, because so like while we're on the subject of Rose Ladies Series, like how grateful obviously are you that you've managed to play, you've managed to win, and then in terms of other girls, like how grateful are the ladies of the Justin and Kate for the kind of series that they put on, trying to expand the game of women's golf. I think they've done a fantastic job, to be honest. I think
That they've done unbelievably well, and the best thing about the whole thing is that either one or both of them has attended pretty much every tournament. So that it's not just a case of we're putting our name to something and someone else is doing it. They've clearly been heavily involved in actually making it happen. They didn't have to do that. So I think it's amazing. And that for me was the bit that showed how much they care, is the fact that they actually are there themselves quite often. So you get a bit of a shock now and again when you're just randomly playing around a golf somewhere and Justin Rose pitches up to watch you play a couple of holes. Quite nerve-wracking. But fair play to him, like that's proper commitment, actually showing up yourself when he no doubt has a incredibly hectic schedule himself, and you look how well he's playing now. It's amazing.
yeah, I mean. We've got the Rose Ladies Series. No, sorry, the Rose Ladies Open coming up in early September on the Letas Tour at Hanbury Manor. So no doubt, just before he jets off to Bethpage Black, he'll probably be there, I think.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I would have thought so. He usually does attend that one. So I mean, that's pretty amazing, isn't it? If you're playing on the Access series and Justin Rose pitches up to watch you play, that's going to seem a bit surreal, I suppose, for a lot of people.
I was gonna say if you see Justin Rose, trundling up, you'll probably be absolutely bricking it, to be honest. But
Yeah, I think that's a very good way of putting it.
or shitting bricks, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
pretty
what?
much.
So you've also had an incredible over 70 top tens in your career. Spoiler alert, Becky had to say that. No, but like just like the longevity since you turned pro in 2004, it's been very, very impressive. I mean, um, do you think like obviously you got your first win in 2007, that must have been probably relief more than anything for yourself. Obviously your third season on tour, you had opportunities as well as an amateur to win in Tenerife as well. I believe you I believe you had the lead until what was it, the 17th hole on the Sunday, is that right,
Yep,
in Tenerife?
yep, yep.
Obviously obviously for you, disappointing that that you didn't win the tournament, but like you'd already put yourself into them opportunities that you could win very, very early on. Um, so 2007 Ladies English Open, I take it was more relief more than anything to, finally get that monkey off your back.
Yeah, it was, and actually that was a great tournament as well, down at Chart Hill. So there was thousands of people there watching, so it felt like a really sort of good one to get, and my mum and dad were there as well. So yeah, that tournament always was well attended, and it felt like a big one. And funny enough, when I played in the Pro-Am that week, the day before the tournament started, I played absolutely horrendous, and it was almost the fact that my expectations went down so much because I played so badly on the Pro-Am day. I think that's why I ended up playing better in the tournament. I shot 65 the first day, and I swear most of it was down to the fact that I'd thought, well, I'm not playing very well, so just don't worry about it, just try and enjoy it. And obviously that was a mentality that made the difference that week, as opposed to thinking, oh, I really need to win soon. I haven't won yet, etc., etc. So sometimes it's a weird things that can happen during the course of a tournament week that either make it easier or more difficult for you to perform.
So so like even coming down the stretch, obviously you're looking for your maiden win. Like, did you still feel the nerves coming down the stretch, like on the Sunday?
You always do. I don't think that ever goes away. But I think what you do learn is that you're meant to have that, and it would be concerning if you didn't feel like that. You never hear of anyone winning a tournament who didn't. Even if you've got a tap in, your hands are still shaking, you still feel nerves. But I think it's understanding that that's what it's meant to be like, and actually that's why you do it, and it's more the satisfaction afterwards that you get from dealing with it at the time. And it doesn't mean you can't hit good shots, it just means that you care. And I always thought the day I lost that, I'd stop playing, because you need it to be able to elevate your performance. Obviously sometimes it doesn't do that, but that's what it's there for, is to elevate your performance in those situations.
So you ended up winning by three at Charterhills to Linda Westberg, Kirsty Taylor, and Karen Stupples. Obviously, Karen Stupples, very good player in her own right. She does all the commentary stuff on the Golf Channel, I think it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the States. Um, is Karen someone you know very well as well?
I did get to know her quite well. Obviously now that she's living over in the States, not so much, but it's still, when I see her, we have a catch up and see how things are going. But I did play quite a bit with her pre when she won the Women's Open, obviously at Sunningdale. So yeah, she was really nice, and she was actually local to the area that I won at. So I think the majority of people there probably wanted her to win, and we were in the final group together. So that made it a bit nicer as well, being able to deal with that side of it.
So you were public enemy number one, effectively.
A little bit.
Did you enjoy that atmosphere? You know, like being the one that people don't want to win because you got the home favourite, like or course favourite.
Yeah, honestly, at the time, I don't think you really notice because you're so wrapped up in
Yeah.
what you're doing. And to be fair, British crowds are always very fair with their clapping and approval of shots. It was, it was something I guess I knew in the back of my mind. But honestly, at the time, you're so wrapped up in what you're doing, you don't really give it a second thought. And it's not like there's people standing there giving you grief or anything. Everyone's very polite when they come to a golf tournament in the UK.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And then in 2009, the Open de España, the Women's Open de España, sorry, second title. I take it. I take it after that, you're just like, wow, I'm a two-time Ladies European Tour winner now. Like, what was the sense of feeling like when that final putt went in?
That was an odd one because it was a completely different situation because I'd led by quite a lot the whole week. So at one point, I think I got to an 8 or 9 shot lead at one point during the tournament. So that one was a bit more of a case of, like the thought does cross your mind. If I mess this one up, this is going to be a royal cock up. So it's a weird one. You try and get the balance right between not becoming too defensive and still trying to play, but without making really poor decisions that are too aggressive, maybe. So that situation definitely I found messed with my mind a little bit more because you're so far ahead. It's a bit of uncharted territory, but it all worked out in the end, and it was lovely to walk down the last knowing that I was going to win. That was an amazing feeling. But and you still always think that something could happen, so you stay switched on the whole time. But yeah, it was nice to be able to almost enjoy the feeling a bit more walking up the last, knowing that I was going to win no matter what.
Any sense of celebration, celebratory drinks?
Well, do you know what? That win got me into the Evian Championship the week after. So literally, I won, and then that was at the time there was a big bus going to the airport after the tournament, so everyone could fly off to wherever. So I had to quickly book a flight to Geneva to go to the Evian tournament. So what I did was I went in the clubhouse and I bought like 2 huge packs of beers, took them on the bus, and just said, anyone wants a drink, take it. And obviously, a lot of people will take you up on that offer. So I had a sort of celebratory drink on the bus to the next event. But because I was playing the week after, then it wasn't a case of go out and have a big party or anything. I was literally flying on to the next event.
No, fair enough. I mean, like if someone if someone has that many beers, surely you're just gonna have a good time,
Yeah, true.
So also in 2007 and 2009, you managed to get the call up for the Solheim Cup as well. I can only imagine, you work your arse off for so many years, for so long, for moments like that to get the call up to the Solheim Cup. I imagine it was just, immense pride, kind of pinching yourself, kind of as well, because it's fantastic tournament.
Yeah, it was it was brilliant. I was playing in an event in Wales, funnily enough, which was the last qualifying tournament, and barring some miracle, I was in the last automatic qualification spot. So unless every single result went against me, I was going to stay in that spot. But still, you're always waiting until it's official, and it was yeah, it was amazing, and immediately it was almost a case of just asking as many players as possible who'd played what's it going to be like what do I do, how do I cope, what am I going to feel like on the first tee. And and it's one of those things again, it doesn't matter who tells you what, you can't prepare for it until it hits you like a ton of bricks when you get there.
So, like, obviously, you mentioned with the Curtis Cup, you were very, very shy, very nervous. Like, even though you had matured by the time 2007 came at Halmstad Golf Club in Sweden for the Solheim Cup, was there still a sense of shyness, nervousness, like by the time you rocked up to Halmstad?
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit different. I wasn't as shy then, so I was definitely a more sort of contributing member of the team in terms of actually speaking and stuff. But again, I was one of the younger players, and it was the first time I played. So a lot of the other players had played in multiple Solheim. So you're sort of coming into this environment where you're kind of the new person, but in that situation, everyone's always great. And Annika Sorensen was on that team, Suzanne Pettersson, who are sort of slightly more intimidating characters. But even
Oh, she
though
is.
even they were, I played a practice round with both of them on one of the days just to sort of feel comfortable, and they were both pretty good at offering up advice and saying what they thought. And it's just, again, it's such a broad range of characters, but the European team has definitely always been very good at coming together because it's usually the situation of being the underdogs, so everyone does tend to pull together quite well.
Yeah, I mean, different animal of intimidation feels like Suzanne Peterson. I'm not gonna lie, like, she's quite intimidating. Like,
Cheers indeed.
like even no, like I hear she's like she's a very lovely person outside of the course, but like when she's at the course and in the element in the zone, she's very very intimidating.
Yeah, and to be fair, some people need to be like that to play their best. And she to me is like if I think of a classic ultimate Solheim Cup player, she's usually the first person that I would think of because she's just built to deal with that situation. And if she would be up there putting her hand up if it was someone who had to hole a putt or win a hole to win the whole tournament, she would fight you to the front of the queue to be the one who would wanted to be in that situation. She just was absolutely embodied the whole thing, and was obviously so good in those situations. So I'd almost say like it's almost like the equivalent of what Poulter would be in the Ryder Cup. How he just, no matter what the situation was, you could literally probably drop him in that team now, and he would play well. It's just one of those things where he becomes a different person, and she always found a way. It didn't matter if she was playing well or playing poorly, she'd always show up and just felt like obliterate everyone at Solheim.
Yeah, so effectively the ultimate clutch player as such,
Yep.
like in them scenarios.
Yeah, 100%.
So like even back then, the team included, as you mentioned, Annika Sorenstam, Laura Davis, Trish Johnson, Suzanne, Katrina Matthew as well. Like, I mean, some very good players. Like, what was it like playing with Annika? Like, obviously, she was, I believe, about what, in her mid-30s back then.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, she's a completely different type of character. She would be pretty shy, pretty quiet, even though obviously she was the best player in the world. Her demeanor was very different and low key. If you bumped into her in the team room, you wouldn't know she was the best player on the team, just very quiet. And if you asked her anything, she was absolutely fine with it. But the rest of the time, she just sort of kept herself to herself, and that was her style of doing things. It's such a broad range of characters. You get some people who are loud and, the life and soul of the party, and Annika was much more chill, just do your own thing in the background, do her work as she normally did every other week, and just go and get the job done, basically. A bit more clinical, I would say.
I mean, results speak for itself, I guess. Like,
yeah, clinical works in golf, I think.
To be the greatest of all time in the women's game, being a kind of, silent personality, silent killer. I mean, you take it, I guess.
It works. It definitely works.
um, so in terms of, obviously that was at home in 2007. The away tie was in 2009 at Rich Harvest Farms in Illinois. What was that like? Obviously, having the weight of the world against you, like at the away tie.
Yeah, that was a totally different situation, because that was a much more rowdy Chicago crowd, and there was, alcohol being served from 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
So
mate, it was amazing.
you did get a bit more heckling from the crowd, which that I think is the only tournament I can ever remember playing in where that ever happened. So it's almost a bit of a shock to the system, because you're just not used to it, and you hear people sort of shouting from the sidelines, and you're like, oh wow, I've never been in that situation before. But you just take it with a pinch of salt, because you just know it's, people who've had a drink or whatever. Yeah, it's totally different type of crowd. So, but it was good because it motivates you, and when the crowd are against you, it can be just as motivating, I suppose, as it would be having them with you. You can use it in a different way to elevate your performance.
Briefly going back to Suzanne, I think that's probably the last person you want to try to heckle, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. I don't know if she got heckled that week, but if she did, she probably sorted them out pretty sharply.
Yeah, right hook, good night, effectively.
Pretty much, yeah, that would work.
So, like, obviously, the experience in general, playing away. I mean, did you enjoy like getting selected and going to the away tie in Chicago? Like,
Yeah.
I take it you love that experience.
Yeah, it was amazing. The golf course was incredible. It was a private club. I think there was literally a handful of members, so it was a very different type of environment to be in. Crowds were massive. Weather was perfect. So, and there was a lot of holes where you could kind of, like, the crowd could kind of surround the green at the back, because there was a few hills on the side, and it was fantastic. Obviously, apart from the fact that we didn't win, it was an amazing week, thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, and then in 2009, obviously you had what I believe was the first of 9 Solheim Cups for Anna Nordqvist.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe she was 22 or so, round about that, like when she like on her first Solheim Cup. Obviously, obviously she's a well decorated Solheim Cup member now. But like, what was she like back then as a rookie? Like as such, like was she?
My memory of it, I would say, just like her type of personality, pretty quiet, pretty shy, very unassuming, really nice. And again, would just very go out about and do her business, very efficient with how she practiced and stuff, and just like good at everything. That was the one thing I remember with her, is that there wasn't a case of, oh wow, she's like, will blow you away in this one area. She was just really good at everything, and you could tell mentally that she was strong as well, and would be able to deal with any situation. That's how I remember her as a player in that tournament.
And obviously, that we mentioned Anna. Like, how do you think she would do next year at Bernardus? Do you think she'd be a very good captain?
I do, because she's got that calm personality. I think everything will be quite chilled with her. she'll have a completely different approach. Every captain does, obviously, to kind of goes with their personality, but I think everyone will feel pretty comfortable around her, and she'll make it an environment that is sort of whatever players want to do, they do. You don't have to conform to a certain way to be able to be sort of part of the team. But she's much more chill character, so I think it'll be just trying to keep everyone in their normal routines, if you like, as much as you can, obviously, during that week.
I can only imagine how many, Swedish players are probably under consideration. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of them, I'm not gonna lie. So
Yeah, there is, and they're all really good as well. So you could,
yeah.
do you know what? You could probably make a whole team out of Swedish players. That's how good they all are.
Yeah, no, definitely. Right, so so we'll kind of finish with like a few fun questions as such. So, like, obviously, first of all, like your best friends on tour, or like people that you still kind of talk to.
So still stay a lot with Lydia Hall, who I've known forever, pretty much since she got on tour, which was a little bit after I did. Obviously Meg, who I caddy for a little bit now and again. So they'd be the main two. So Lydia I've pretty much stayed with my whole career.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Flates by any chance?
Yeah, obviously used to. She's not been around for a long time now. She
Ah,
abandoned a long
no.
time ago. But yeah, that when she was out on tour, obviously she was my best friend. I was bridesmaid at her wedding. We still miss her a little bit, so hopefully she'll watch this and know that we managed to get her a mention.
Yeah, I'm to be honest, I'm sure she will. I'm sure she'll still be suffering from the embarrassment of not putting the microphone on. She'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, we won't go into it too much, but yeah, let's say I had a nice chat with her, and she forgot to put the mic on, and she got a few expletives back from me.
No, like when I got told that, I was just pissing myself laughing. I'm not gonna lie, to be honest. So yeah, no, no, Danny's great. Yeah. What would you say is your top three favorite golf courses?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I would say, okay, number one, I played a US Open at Oakmont, which was amazing. The toughest course I'd played by miles. It felt like, if you had a 4-iron into a green and you didn't land it on a little sixpence, that it was just gone. It felt so difficult. Two, I'd say the Gary Player course at Fancourt in South Africa. Again, probably the second toughest course I've ever played. We played a World Cup of golf there a couple of times, and I'm pretty sure on the last day when everyone was playing their own ball, and this was in obviously a field of the best players in the world, the best score maybe on that day was 75 or 76 because the conditions were so tough and the course was so tough itself. And my number three would be, I think, the Emirates Club in Dubai. We used to have quite a big tournament there, and it was just so immaculately presented every year, and I enjoyed the layout of the course. It felt like it really suited my game. So I think part of that might be because I did reasonably well there as well, but it's just a brilliant layout golf course.
Whatever happened to the Moonlight Classic?
I don't know. I think it was an idea that sort of was tried, and I don't know whether it didn't work as well as people thought or what, but it was a strange one to play in. But yeah, it just seemed to fade away. I don't really know exactly what happened, to be honest.
Should bring it. Should bring it back. I thought it was quite fun to watch, to be honest. Like just playing golf, well, effectively in the dark. So
Yeah, it was an odd one, but enjoyment wise, it was good as a player. But yeah, obviously maybe I don't know what happened really, but obviously didn't go down as well as maybe the sponsors wanted, I'm guessing.
put a petition into the Ladies European Tour. Get the Dubai Moonlight Classic back, please, because just for enjoyment purposes.
Yeah, we'll see. Never know.
So what was so obviously you're big into sports and that, but like, are you a big sports watcher as well?
I watch quite a lot of football, to be fair.
Favorite team?
Everton. I'm an Everton supporter.
Everton.
Yeah. So I've suffered a lot, but I've got a little bit of hope now for the future. New stadium and some decent players, and we've signed Jack Grealish. So I feel like I'm on cloud nine at the moment. I never thought someone like that would play for my team.
Jack Grealish. Wow. Do you and Alice ever go to the games together? Alice
We don't
Houston?
know, but Alice has got tickets, sort of season tickets for the new stadium. So I might be tapping her up for a couple of visits if she's around, or if she can't go at any point. I'll be trying to get hold of those, I reckon.
And what do you think of the new stadium? It does look quite cool, but like, Goodison Park was like the traditional
Yeah,
stadium. Like,
yeah, it was. But I mean, I've been there a few times, and I mean, it felt like it was falling apart a little bit. So at some point, obviously, in terms of revenue and just having a bigger stadium, I guess it had to switch over. It's just a shame. Obviously, it always feels a bit sad to see that little bit of history go. But I think, looking at what all the other teams do, at some point you have to upgrade your stadium, otherwise you get left behind.
no, not fair enough. And any Welsh teams? Cardiff, Swansea, Newport? I don't know.
Well, I grew up in North Wales, so Wrexham would have been. I did go and see
Wrexham.
some Wrexham games many, many years ago, long before they were obviously in the situation that they're in now. Chloe Williams is a big Wrexham fan, so she's pleased as punch at the moment. But I would see how they're doing. But no, not. I'm an Everton supporter, and that's it, I'm afraid.
No, I mean the Hollywood ownership. It's a bit weird, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, nah, they're in the championship now.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
imagine imagine going to a football game and then all you can see is Ryan Reynolds in the crowd. Like,
yeah. It'd be a bit odd, wouldn't it?
definitely. And so like a couple more. So what would you say is your favorite, cheap meal as such?
Cheap meal or cheap?
Cheap, cheap.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't really do cheat meals. I think I'm cheat every day of the week's cheat meal for me. I love my food, so
Oh, okay.
I'm not following it. I just have what I want when I want, pretty much.
Oh, right, okay. No, so, if you were to go out for a meal, like, what would you say is your favorite kind of cuisine?
I like Asian foods. I love a bit of Thai. I'm always a sucker as well for if it's ever a Sunday in the UK. It's a nice Sunday roast. Can't beat that. Obviously, don't get those very often. But yeah, if I'm away on tour, we'd have a lot of Thai food normally.
Nice. I mean, good options there. You can't beat a Sunday roast either.
Exactly, exactly.
So, we'll finish with a kind of more serious question. So, obviously, the women's game has grown so much, but you still get, idiotic comments about like obviously, the women don't hit it as far as the men, blah 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 blah. What would your what would your message be to, people trying to get into like people trying to watch the women's game? Like what would be your message as such, like to try and get more
Well,
people, more eyes on the women's game, more eyes on the LET and stuff. So
you obviously can't compare men's and women's golf. I mean, in my mind, they may as well be a different sport because the way you do it is very different, and obviously physically, you're never going to be able to compete with a male player. That's just the body is completely different. So I don't see it as trying to compare them. They're two completely different sports almost in my mind. I love watching the men's golf because it's so different to how I play the game, and I love watching the women's golf because I know obviously it's a completely different skill set. So I'd say you're not tuning in for the same experience, if you like. You're going to see the ball got around the golf course in a completely different way, but just as entertaining in my opinion. And obviously when you see what some of these players are doing, the women's game has some dominant players as well. I don't watch the men's golf just to watch how far they hit the ball. I watch it also to see the skill levels, to see the crazy shots that they play around the greens and putts that hold and shots that you hit into greens and stuff. So I think just appreciate it for what it is. It's a different way of doing the same thing. And with any sport, you can never ever compare the men's and the women's version because they're just done completely differently.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like obviously it's far and well like watching the men hit 300+ yards, blah blah blah. But can they play? Can they play a hybrid from like say about 180 yards, like to?
Well, no, probably not, because their hybrid probably goes about 270. It'd be a bit of a
Probably.
challenge.
Probably. But yeah, no, can you play like a hybrid from like 175 to like 4 feet? Nah, I don't think so. So
Yeah, it's just a completely different skill set. So you can't compare them. Like if you're tuning in to watch women's golf to compare it for men's, then you may as well not bother. It's just a different way of doing it. So I think everyone should just appreciate those two ways of doing it for what they are. And it's a slightly different skill set, but I mean, in my mind, it's just as entertaining. I'll watch as much women's golf as men's and still be entertained by it. So I'm not just watching to watch who hits it furthest, pretty much. And if you are, then you should watch the men's golf.
I mean, pretty much straight talking there, Becky. Like, I do
Yeah.
like it, but I mean, you do get some like idiotic comments and stuff. I mean, like it's fucking 2025. Like, just if you
Yeah.
want to. If you want to just watch the men's golf, just watch the men's golf. If you want if you want to broaden your horizons as such, and watch the women's game, which is absolutely fantastic as well, like watch the women's game. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's uh it's annoying that you can't get people watching the PGA, live whatever, and the LPGA as well. Like it seems to be one or the other these days, and it's pretty annoying.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
I watch both, but obviously I'm slightly different. I'm coming from a little bit of a different point of view to the regular person, but it is what it is. We know what the world's like. I don't think it's going to change enough in my lifetime to make it, what it should be. But hopefully, at some point in the future, it does.
And so have you still got a few events left in the season to carry for Meg, or you just
Yeah, I'm
what's
going to Sweden tomorrow
okay
for the next one, and then
for the hills
the hills.
hills
Yeah,
open? Yeah.
yeah. So get through that one and see how we get on.
Nice. So thank you very much, Becky. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Like obviously you're a very well respected person in the women's game, and yeah, it was fun just to pick your brains as such, and have a friendly chat, and it was a very fun one. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks for having me, Craig.
Enjoy Sweden.
Cheers.
Uh, yeah, enjoy Sweden and don't have too many copper bugs or recorder legs or whatever. But
Won't do.
right, thank you. See you later.
Cheers. Bye.